So we have this new brilliant format from the dev team, and I kind of want to talk about the two things they mentioned, which would be solo content, especially solo dungeons, and roads. I just kind of want to give my idea of on how to improve it, because it did ask, especially for roads, what we would love to see. So let's get started. I think we'll start first with solo dungeons. It's probably the most useless, most underplayed content in the game currently, especially if you're at least okayish player or you at least played your first month. It's very likely you will never touch a solo dungeon ever again, and I think that needs to change. I think solo content, especially solo dungeon, can be very fun. It just needs to be a more viable option. To look at it first, the issues are fame is shit, the loot is garbage. It's actually not that garbage that people think, but it's still pretty bad, and it's very repetitive. Equals it's very fucking boring. And I think my idea to the change would be buff the fame. I do not think they should buff the loot, and I do not think they should invest their hours right now into solo dungeons. There's other content that need work way more urgently than solo dungeons. But there's an easy fix to it. You can still fix it by buffing the fame. Sometimes, even me, as I guess a veteran player, if you could call it, I would be like, yeah, I kind of wanna spec this weapon up. I think, what could I do? Solo. And my best option was always just to go for Mist. I don't know, the fame is pretty decent in Mist, decent enough that I would love to go to Mist instead of doing a solo dungeon. And I think that should change. Solo dungeons should be more viable option here. And buffing the fame could be a good thing to do. For example, buff it like on the world boss area, where each mob you kill, you get a percentage fame boost for solo dungeon activity. I think it's a good change. It would be a nice change for the game, and it's an easy fix, which would help early players as well as the more veteran players to do that content. I don't think they should buff the loot. I've tested it out, and on average, I average 1.5 mil of loot per hour. I did a 5 hour span, not all at once, but I tried it for like 1 hour at a time on different locations, and I averaged around. I think the total value was around 1.2 mil to 2.1 mil. So I think it would be a good change to just buff the fame instead of the loot, because I think the loot for it being this safe is just fine. Now we come to the second thing. It would be roads. Do we have something to read here? Yeah. Obviously, roads do need some improvement. They come actually with the same issues. They're very repetitive. The fame is shit. And the loot is shit. And that's why people are not experiencing as much action as they used to. Because not as many people are running roads anymore. Especially not in groups. We used to run a lot of 7-man groups for road, for just to get into small scale action, but that was kind of at a time when roads released, where loot was absolutely overtuned, where people were just spamming roads. I think they needed a nerf, a much needed nerf, because people were using a couple of mechanics as well, where they would only open chests or only kill boss for the chest. And I think that's a good change in a way, that they did nerf the loot, but the fame is still shit. It's still repetitive, and the fame is still garbage. For the fame thing, I think it's the same idea. The more mobs you kill, the more fame you should get. That also incentivizes to kill the small mobs around a camp and not just kill the boss, like most people are doing right now. And it will incentivize more groups to run a longer time, which will bring groups into each other. I think that's a good change as well. That would be my first idea. And my second idea, to making roads more action packed, let's put it like that, or more interesting, would be give the roads something special. Like a special, like 4 to 5 different bosses that randomly spawn. No timers, you just have to find them. Give them like in football, in soccer we would call it the goal moment, where a goal only happens every 30, 40 minutes. Give it something like that where you run around, you're like, oh my god, there's a boss. Finally. Give them like something like just makes it more exciting. Something that you kind of want to look around for, and if you find it, you want to do it. Just give it like more that kind of oof to making it more exciting to go for. That would be for the more, yeah, I guess for the more interesting part of roads. Those are my takes. I wish to see a lot of comments in the comment section on this Reddit post. Please don't give me roads are shit, they're garbage, dev sucks. Give actually some constructive idea on how to do it, because I think the dev team is doing a brilliant job at the moment. And the game can even get even better now. So yeah, let's start with that. Thank you, and we'll see you in the comments.